here from Jen Skinner Art. I'm just going to run through a really simple gift idea for, it could be for females, but I'm specifically going to do one for males. And all you need to do is have some old washed out tins, but I want to show you this, and I think it's really important. Can you see that this tin here doesn't have a sharp lip, whereas this one has a really sharp little piece sticking out, and that's because most cans are the pull tabs. Both of these were pull tabs and you're left with that little rim. So if you can get hold of a really old set of can openers, they're ideal. Now these ones you can see are really old and starting to get rusty, but the old-fashioned way was this little sharp piece here, I don't know if you can see it, will pierce the tin, and then if you hold it on a slight angle, so I'm angling that little sharp point that's gone through the tin inwards, and you can get it to actually turn. I did it right on the join of the tin. Okay, well that was an epic fail. What I'm going to try now is to see if I can pinch it down. Look, that's going to work. Can you see? It's not ideal, but if you've got a small pair of pliers, you can actually manage to get that all the way around. I might be able to rip that little bit off that I had started to cut. Alright, if you happen to be young and you're going to give this a go, this is something that would be ideally done by a parent, because these are sharp. Okay, so just running that around. Now here's the one that I did using the can opener. That worked really well. So the next step, especially if you've got the sharp metal piece, is to run some masking tape. Just use small amounts, but run some masking tape all the way around, covering up that sharp edge. Alright, now it doesn't matter if it goes over the top just a little bit, because we're going to go around that again. This time we're going to make the little pieces overlap and press inwards. So we're going to go all the way around. So I'm overlapping, making sure that I press it in all the way around. And this is going to protect the new owner from getting cut on any sharp edges. It's up to you how far you want to overlap, whether you want to do it half the strand of masking tape or the width of the masking tape, which is keep that bit. So, and it doesn't take very long. If I wasn't filming, then a video, you know, you could watch a video. I think what's easiest though is if you happen to have a dispenser, because this takes a lot longer if you're tearing the pieces off the roll. So there you go, that's covered that end. And now down the bottom here, I want to go just near that bottom edge, really carefully getting the masking tape to go down into that last little groove. Again, it doesn't matter whether this is in one piece or you overlap. We're just trying to get a nice finished edge. And a little bit more. Great. Alright, so we've done top and bottom. Now, you're quite welcome to leave the tin as it is if you don't mind it looking like that, because oftentimes they are painted on the inside. You could run another piece of tape around on the inside, or you can choose something to actually put on the inside. And the way we do our measurement is simply wrapping our tin and I'm just going to put a little mark here. I'll put it on here. Make it square. Cut that off. Alright, so I've got the piece. It's going to be too long, and it's up to you. You can leave the overlap, or you can make it a little bit smaller. I might make it a little bit smaller, so roughly here. And all this is going to do is be our internal. Actually, I might do it this way. It's just going to be our internal decoration, just to make it look a little bit nicer on the inside. And something else that you can use, which are really nice, are maps. And another way you can do the measurement, this map here is a tourist map. I might even fold that in half, add a bit of extra thickness, so I can actually wrap that around and find out how long I want it. So basically that long, and then I can curl my map around, pop it in my tin, make sure it's right down near the bottom, and then I can run my pencil all the way around, and now I know that's the line I need to cut on. So I cut along that, and now I'm going to put my folded edge at the top and slip it back inside, and there we go, voila, it fits. It's a good idea to put a little bit of glue on the inside, something that is really tacky. So I'm going to use my Sullivan's, and all I'm going to do is put a little bit at the top and dribble a little bit down the sides. Now my finger's not quite long enough to get down there, but I can put a pencil in and just spread some of that glue out, wipe it off. Now I can slip this back inside, and on the last little edge, because we made it a little bit longer, I'm just going to add a bit of extra glue. Right, so now we've got a really nice aged look on the inside, and if you wanted to, you can get the same paper and you can trace all the way around the bottom of your tin, remembering that that is on the outside edge. So I'm going to trim this off, and now I'm going to be cutting just on the inside of my trace line, trying to keep it as round as I can. Helps to turn the paper instead of the scissors. I'm going to put some more glue on that. Where's my pencil again? There we go. Can you see? Okay, nicely done. Now, what to do for the outside? Now, this is where you are going to want to tear your masking tape. So every piece of masking tape you have, you're going to have a straight edge and a torn edge. So we start with the straight edge right up close. And now we're going to overlap, making sure that it's a torn edge that's visible. So straight edges are, at the moment, are going up near the top, and everything else that we see is a torn edge. So I had this little piece of tape from when I started my new roll. I'll pull some more off that. Now the detail, the amount of detail, sorry, is going to be up to you. So the smaller you tear these pieces, the more detail your finished pencil container is going to have. So I'll do the first one around, and then I'll show you how to do the second layer, and then I'll leave it up to you to do it. Okay, straight edge at the top for this first one, just because we want it to look nice and neat. When you tear on here, you end up with a edge that doesn't look torn, so you're actually better off taking a big long strip off your dispenser and tearing it, so that you don't have that edge that you have to get rid of all the time. I'll just show you. So we don't want that nice neat edge, we want to take that off. I'm going to tear our tape, and around we go. and we're actually there. Alright, so after the very first row where you put the straight edge up, now every other row you're actually going to put the straight edge down, because what we want to do, and I'll just do a few so that you can see, what we're going to do from now on is overlap over that straight edge. So can you see? So we're ending up with all these ragged edges. I'm not sure, can you see that there? So the straight edge is at the bottom, and the next piece of tape that I put across that is going to get rid of that straight edge, and then it has its own, and we keep working all the way down until we end up with a straight edge that's going into that groove again. So we're going to overlap, overlap, overlap. Like I said, the smaller the pieces, the more interesting the finish. But right now I'll stop and I'll let you get to it and I'll get to it, and we'll meet back when I've finished. Okay, I've finally finished my tin. Can you see all the overlapping layers? And I also did some on some paper, and you can see more clearly on here the fact that when you have a ragged edge, the ragged edge actually absorbs more of the colour than the straight edge. So you can see the straight edge along here, hardly any colour is seeped into that, but when you have the ragged edge you get a lot more depth of colour. So there's a few different things that I used for this. The first one, the black, that was with the Kiwi Leather Instant Wax Shine. So all I did was dab it on, and then I rubbed it off with a bit of a nappy wipe. Then this one here is done with a professional Tim Holtz Distress ink, and I used my little dabber, and the same thing, I rubbed it on, and then I used my wet wipe, which is a little bit moist, and rubbed off the excess. So I can probably demonstrate that again. So I'm picking up quite a bit of ink, putting it on, and then it was a process of just rubbing the excess off. This one here was done with the Liquitex ink. Again, it's a professional art supply. This one is called Transparent Raw Umber, and it really, because it's so liquid, it seeped right in underneath the masking tape. So my only concern with that one is whether or not it's going to compromise how well the masking tape is sticking to each other. And then the last one was actually a brown marker that I had, and this one is a, can you see it there, Winsor & Newton, and number is 76, so it happens to be burnt umber. So this is raw umber, this is burnt umber, but you can easily use the markers that you have. So these are what I call dead ones, like they're not, they were the kids' old ones from school. And what I'm going to do is have a go with my tin in using these. So if you don't have any of the professional supplies and you don't own what am I trying to say? You don't own shoe polish, then give this a go. So because my colours are a little bit different, they're not all the same, I'm going to go randomly over my tin. I might zoom in a little bit more. Usually when my markers are really, really old, I actually just pull them all apart and soak them in some water and take all the ink out, and then I use it as a watercolor. And I do have some of that, but I thought if you're undergoing this project and you don't want to have to wait or pull your markers apart, then maybe this is a way to go. The masking tape, because it's got this slight sheen to it that repels the colour, we're going to find that when we add a little bit of water, it's going to absorb into the cracks like these ones, but we're going to be able to remove some of it off the actual face of the masking tape. Now I'm just sort of blending. I can mix and match. Where's the other one? The Winsor and Newton one is a new one, so, and it's got a brush tip, so it's really easy to apply. So I'm just mixing that in a few different places, so we're going to get a variation of colour here. So I guess what I'm trying to say is use what you have, and you don't actually need to go out and buy expensive supplies. I absolutely love brown boot polish, but my husband didn't have any, he only had the black. So here I am, I've got my old scruffy paintbrush. I've put a little bit of water in it. I'm going to make sure I go right up to that top edge, even though we'll do something with that later. So what we're trying to do is actually eliminate all those drawing lines, and we're trying to blend the different watercolor mediums that we used, because we used all different colors, 3 different colors. Okie doke. Alright, now if you leave that to sit for a little bit, it will go further into the ragged edges. You can leave it as it is, or you can get a damp cloth, or I use nappy wipes all the time, and you can just remove the excess. Now you can rub it the way I'm doing, or you can dab it. It'll give you a different effect. And I don't throw these away, I actually keep them, so I can scrunch it up, maybe add a tiny bit more water, roll it up, there we go. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I'll let that dry and I can use that in another project. So here we go. I'm going to let that dry completely, and then I can give it a coat of either a clear lacquer, just to make sure that everything's adhered, or my watered down PVA glue, which is probably what I'll do, because that's the cheaper option, and it's probably something that you have easy access to. So this is purely done with the felt pens. And I wanted to show you a few other things that you can do. When you end up with all these little strippy bits, I actually use those, and where I've found that I've got a bigger panel, I then go and add these tiny little bits in, and it just adds a little bit more dimension. So here's a slightly bigger one that I've overlapped. Got another one in here, another one here. I put a few in down at the base, and you can see the importance also of the ragged edge, because the straight edge just does not absorb the colour like the torn edge or the ragged edge. So I'll let this dry. I'll coat it in some glue and I'll get back to you.